Yo.
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 Flames Talk, we're back, baby.
Woo!
Probably. We've been doing this for 1 year, and
Welcome back to the Puck and Stuff podcast. I'm sorry I interrupted the intro because honestly, I don't think this team deserves an intro because just like the Flames lately, halfway through, from going on a winning streak, you still lose some games. You lose some games.
But we just won. What are you talking about, man?
Dude, that it's Chicago. They don't even have Bedard. It's not really that exciting.
They have Kurashev and Whistle and Korchinski and Foligno. Should I name more?
Yep. I'll just
All
keep
right, and Tenorti. Okay, you got me there.
You mentioned Seth Jones already?
Oh yeah, Seth Jones. Yep, you're right. You're right. Yeah.
That $9.5 million contract.
Oh yeah. So they also got one of their. It was the battle of overpriced contracts. That's what this game was.
Yeah, it really was.
That
But
makes sense.
sorry, guys. Hey, welcome back to Flames Talk. As your co-host B Dog, rep beside me as always is T Dog, and this is Flames Talk, where we talk about the Calgary Flames. We've been doing this for almost actually 3 years. 3 years of talking about this team. I'm not complaining about it, but it hurts in this kind of scenario because we're mid as right now. So I'm
Yeah.
not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. T-Dog, I think I'm gonna start this of where we kind of left it off last time on we were on a winning streak.
Yeah, that's probably the emphasis on the word there, the were. I mean we look good. Sharon Govich, with the point streak, goal
Like
streak there. Sorry, Huberto had some points there too. And things were looking good. Then you play a team like the Leafs, and you're in the game. That was nice. You're in the game, but so be it. Goals called off, and you lose by one.
yeah.
Hard to beat the league's team, right? So that's how it goes.
I
Edmonton
mean,
too. Vladar is the only reason why you're even in that game.
yeah.
It's true. I keep saying like we're losing games. It's 1-3 goal, 1-2 goals, all that stuff. That game sucked, man. I mean, you let the Oilers fans in your bar and stuff, man, and they're making it sound like it's Edmonton. So that sucked.
It's even worse
Uh,
when they're on a crazy winning streak right now and you let them win
yeah.
in Barnes. So that definitely does hurt. Uh, Back to actually Toronto for a minute. I didn't think we played too bad against Toronto. We came out really hot in the first period with those 2 goals on Martin Jones. But you let Austin Matthews get the puck and he's having a crazy scoring season. So it hurts, but Blake Coleman's hand pass was kind of a weak. It was a weak call in my opinion. Like we could have at least gotten a point out of it and pushed it to OT, but that's a tough loss. Same with Edmonton in that sense because it was a close game, but you could tell that we couldn't beat them. We really couldn't in that game for sure, and we lose 3-1. Oh boy, then we get to St. Louis.
Mm. Oh, buddy. Yeah. You don't want to give up a goal like that. Yeah, Brandon Saad owns us.
Yeah, he really does. Dude, that was a last minute goal too. Like literally just after there's 1 minute remaining in the period, scores.
Gotta say, I'm concerned about our special teams right now. We've let in 2 shorthanded goals recently.
Yeah.
Penalty kill, was pretty good for a bit. But there comes a point when you have more PK goals than power play goals. That's not a good sign.
I'll still take
Kinda,
it.
oh,
The
I
one thing
think.
I'll take out of that though is still we're ranked third in penalty kill in the NHL with
Yeah,
84%. So
I
you've got
mean that's nice, but look at us in the standings. So what
oh
does that kind of tell you?
God, don't look at the standings. Oh God. It's
Yeah.
ugly. It's ugly. Ugh. Honestly, I kind of wanted to mention the standings after we went through the last few games, but yeah, St. Louis was not pretty. St. Louis was not pretty. We moved on to Columbus. Johnny Gaudreau coming back to the building, getting booed.
You know, I mean, I have a feeling. I wonder if he sort of misses the team. just with the whole scenario and situation.
Yeah.
I don't got nothing against Johnny. I really don't. But yeah, hearing on the radio the boos were pretty funny because you could
Oh yeah.
always tell. I mean, who do you think gets booed more though? Him or who gets booed more now? Johnny or Adam Fox? Boo! Sorry, I forgot. I have to do it
I
every time.
think Flames fans have a deep hate for Adam Fox because honestly, was he expected to be kind of that franchise defenseman like he is with the Rangers right now? No, not exactly. But it still kind of hurt that he didn't want to play here and he did want to go to his like dream team, and we just kind of had to accept that.
Yeah,
And then
exactly.
he becomes like a 70-point defenseman like 2 seasons later after that. So it definitely did kind of hurt. I'll definitely say that.
So on the radio, Derek Wills was saying how this is probably the last time you see either Lindholm, Hanifin, Chris Hanover, or multiple of those players play in a Flames uniform for the last time. At this point, Conroy, I almost said Trey Living, oh no, but Conroy definitely has to do something because it's crunch time. You can't trade all these players in the same span of the trade deadline. That's going to be a struggle when it comes to getting some sort of return. So I guess I'll just ask you this, man. Like, do you think any of these players get traded, and do you think you're gonna get best return trading during this whole week break?
Yeah, I guess if we're really talking about it, I'm gonna stick with my prediction that I still think Tanev gets traded before, like just during the All-Star break. I think that's going to be one of the first Flames to go, in my opinion. Yeah, the potential that these three players don't play in Flames jerseys by the end of the All-Star break is a good possibility because we just looked at like let's go back to the schedule for a little bit here. When we versed Columbus, Markstrom came back. He's the true power. He's the powerhouse of goaltending for this team, keeping us in games at this point. And we struggled against Columbus, and Columbus is not a really good team this year. And it did kind of hurt to watch that. And we got beat 5-2. That it was an ugly game. I'm not gonna lie, it was an ugly game, but that just
Yeah,
kind of proves like this whole season just kind of proved in these last 10 games. You went on a 4-game winning streak. Things were looking right on your side. You were a couple games away from potentially being a wild card team again, right? But now we're back in that scenario where you just lost 4 games. The 4-game winning streak to a losing streak basically is useless now. We're back at five.
vanished. Yeah,
We just won against Chicago in a 1-0 game. Nothing pretty. Markstrom was on his head, and you looked like you were at a competing level of Chicago. And they don't even have Bedard in this game. So that's concerning to me, in my opinion.
or Corey Perry. Now that's honestly what I'm like kind of concerned with. Is
Yeah,
Hawks
like
don't have Corey Perry
well,
anymore. I mean, they stand no chance now.
but now I think realistically, I think Conroy kind of has an idea of what path he has to play here of you need to trade those players because
Yep.
what's the point if you're just going to keep going back and forth on win loss win loss win loss and maybe get like a 14th 13th pick in the draft, or like you and I were even just talking about mock drafts some people were doing on Cat Friendly and like thinking what should this team really do with these players that aren't going to sign next year, because the last time I heard about Hannafin's like contract talks was a month ago, and everyone's on and off if he's actually going to sign or not. Chris Tanev is a name that we mentioned a few times. Of I still think he's going to get traded before the All-Star break is started, I guess.
Yeah.
And then the biggest name, Elias Lindholm. He's oh, dude, it's such a weird year because Elias Lindholm isn't playing terrific, but you know he can't sign back here. You just know he can't. So the only thing you can do is trade them for value and get some prospects or picks. That's what I'm hoping to do. And then you mentioned you and I, it was funny because you and I also mentioned this with Calgary. Anyone that's doing good right now is basically a trade name, especially with Markstrom, who we talked about a few weeks ago. And now I'm hearing Blake Coleman's another name popping up. So my question to you is like, what do you think is going through Conroy's head right now in the situation we're in?
I mean, if you're sticking to the process that you told us the team would go through at the start of his tenure as the GM, then it is putting youth in, and you're going to kind of focus on that. Meaning that trades are going to be about youth. I think that's a Foley trade is a good example of that, where you are trading for younger for youthfulness in comparison. I know that Sharon Govich isn't for say a youth. I mean, he's just getting into the prime, so I still consider him youth there in a sense. But I think it kind of goes
25.
along the line there.
Yeah.
But yeah, when you're looking for trades, for sure. I read something about if you were to trade Markstrom, and I agree with this. Certain players you're gonna have to pay a ransom for. Like to me, if you're paying or you're trying to trade for a player like Markstrom or Uyghur for say, I don't know. I don't think Uyghur would even be on the block, but I think there should be a king's ransom for some of these players there. And I wonder if you can because Markstrom for sure. Like teams need a goalie.
They really do. You're
A
seeing it
lot
more
of
and
these
more right
teams
now.
need a goalie, and a lot of goalies are struggling, right? So that's a thing to look at. A player like Coleman, I think anyone would want on their depth roster going into a cup run. He's a reason. His line in Tampa with Yanni Gord and I can't remember who else was on his line, but it was a big reason for that win.
Yeah.
So yeah, again, I'd be hoping for a king's ransom if any of that happens. So I think Conroy's head, he's definitely playing it slow, but I gotta say the Sharon Govich trade has looked pretty smart so far. Meaning, maybe we just need to let him cook, not judge anything, and let him take his time and see what he does between the All-Star break and the trade deadline,
Come on,
and see how
come
that
on,
goes.
Conroy. Cook.
Um,
Time to get cooking.
I hope he cooks, because I want a good draft pick, and I don't want bust. Don't need no Yakupovs here. Oh wait, we can't get first round picks. Our first overall picks. Never mind.
No, no
Uh,
celebrating.
but
But
it's
dude,
is it funny? Like this is, and then I feel like we mentioned this before. This is the whole mediocrity thing, man. Where one podcast we're on here talking about the positives about Flames, like yeah, if we make playoffs, cool. I mean, we shouldn't. I don't really care. I don't want them to because it's a waste of time. But now it's like, yeah, definitely tanking. And we wish we were crappier earlier because our record is 22-22-5.
correct.
Like legit mediocre. Like that is so like we're so 500. It's crazy. It's
Literally
somehow
definition of 500. The Calgary 500s. Five.
100%, 100%.
Dude, it's what
And it's taking a toll on my mental state, man. No, not really. Honestly, man, I just when you have no expectations, you don't got an expectation. So you just kind of like go with the wind, see how it goes, and hopefully something good comes out of it. But yeah, ultimately, I'll go back to the whole Conroy thing. I think that's exactly what he's gonna or is thinking about, and I think yeah, trades will be in the move here soon, and yeah, I'll probably cook in the off season.
yeah, I think I need some Conroy cooking right now, some stir fry right now, honestly, man. But I think also just in general of what I'm kind of going with is when we do get these trades, because I feel like you and I know someone's going to get traded soon. Like you'll see the first one pop up pretty quick, I would think, in these next couple of days because
Yeah.
the Flames don't play until I believe February 6th against Boston. Yeah, that's the next time we play. So 2 weeks without Flames hockey, give them some time to make some trades. And I think one thing, especially as we're talking and getting closer to the draft and figuring out where we're landing, you and I really want a Ginla. I'm not gonna
Oh yeah,
lie,
man. I want a
Ginla on
TJ
this
check.
team is really tempting again.
Yeah. But there's Calgary foreign guy too, Carter Yakimchuk, right? Speedy, skillful, goal orientated defenseman. That'd be nice to have.
Yeah, there.
But he will be. I mean, everyone I've talked to who's watched him says he's some sort of reincarnation of his father. He's got the goal scoring ability. If you got that grittiness, that's awesome, man. Because I'd love that on this team.
Like,
Martin Pospisil is gone, and the team hasn't been as aggressive. You notice that?
oh yeah, I've
As
noticed.
gritty, I should say. Yeah, the team's kind of lost its edge, and I like the physicality, so I kind of miss that. So that'd be nice to get some physicality.
I
I
mean,
kind of
it's just
wish.
so shocking that. Martin Pospisil is the reason why we lost some of these games, just off of his aggressiveness on the second line?
Well, I wouldn't say why we lost, but it would definitely help to have. Isn't that crazy that when we talk this season about difference makers and factors, players we would not have expected. Sharon Govish is a great example of this. Possible is Connor Zary, right? So
Blake
it kind of goes down
Coleman,
the list.
technically, in a sense.
I think Schwint played well.
Yeah,
He's not the factor, but I could see him staying up for a little bit. I
yeah.
think he's got the edge and skill too.
I think I think as
Take that
well
up
as you
behind
mentioned just with I think when you mentioned just with Matt Coronado in that sense too. I think every game he played with the Flames, he looked a little bit stronger each game. Just even just watching against Chicago, you saw that he had more shot attempts and was a little bit more hungry each time. So I think I think he will become factor, a difference factor on this team eventually. It's just going to take some time. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%, right? Like, and I thought it was kind of cool to see Shergo and Coronado on the same line for a bit because both have the two fantastic shots. So
Oh
I
yeah.
think, as Coronado gets older, we'll start to see, that because you see the glimmer of hope there. It's just gonna take some time, right? And
Yeah.
I could see him being a player that, takes a season or two and then boom, all right, he's kind of in it, kind of like a Quentin Byfield, right? So
Yeah.
I can see it like that. But yeah, I think he will be able to be a difference maker. I think he just, there's some things that need to be kind of worked out, and a lot of people were saying, I guess, push off the puck too easily. Maybe needs to get a little more stronger on the puck there. But I don't really notice that so much. But maybe I'm a little naive when it comes to looking at that.
I mean, I think Matt Coronado's going to take advantage of this summer, the bulk up, maybe add 10 more pounds of muscle. That would definitely help.
Start hitting to each man, just pumping out
Especially with
some.
that shot. If you add some muscle to you, your shot gets way harder and quicker.
Yeah, man,
He's
that's
young, he can
facts.
take advantage of it.
That's facts. That'd be sick. And that'd be nice to have. But yeah, the thing about it, like all these people, I guess Coronado maybe not is a surprise person that we would talk about because we were talking about him before the start of the season. But there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
And Coleman too. Coleman's a good example of this as well because we didn't expect Coleman to be on pace for what 70 points or 80 almost 80 points this season. Um, so I mean, yeah, it's a good problem to have,
Yeah.
but just
We're just not
yeah.
winning the games I think we need to in the scenario that
Oh, for sure.
you want to make a wild card
Well,
because
that's exactly why. This is exactly why, like, we knew that they weren't ever gonna. Like, for me, every time they lose a game to a team or in a scenario where they should have maybe won the game, and I'm like, yeah, well, this is why you're not gonna make playoffs. Simple as this. You can't win when needed. You can't show up when needed, and you're not taking advantage of easier points. Well, nothing's easy in the NHL, but you should be beating the Hawks way more than you should be beating the Vegas Knights, right? Well,
especially
I guess when they're
I would
healthy.
definitely say, especially when you add into the fact that you just came off of a 4 game winning streak, you had 2 tough games against teams like Toronto and Edmonton. Then you verse these teams that aren't really fighting for anything, and you're at home. That's the crazy part. The last few games have all been at home and in front of your fans. And at the Columbus game, your team was getting booed out of the building basically after that loss. And you're like,
Yeah,
great,
it's deserved.
you basically just canceled out the win streak you're on, and it's just disappointing because you're literally fighting with teams like Seattle, Arizona, and St. Louis who aren't obviously great this season, but they're playing better than you.
I
So
know. But none
it's
of these teams really
right.
want to make the playoffs. That's the reality of it.
Well, I mean,
But
you
they're
you did
playing.
have no expectations going into the season with this team. I did
Yeah.
have a little bit. So it kind of hurts my way because I'm like, oh, this team should be a wild card team, especially since last year you were just outside of it and it was technically still known as a bad season, right? Like
Yeah.
95 points just outside of a playoff spot, and we're saying that's like a bad season still.
Yeah. I would just lower your expectations, man. I think it's like the percentage to win. I saw something as well on Twitter today. They gotta go like 23-7 and something, make playoffs
No, brother.
in a statistical sense. It's pretty out of the blue. I mean, anomalies can happen, but
I would definitely say I think after the first 10 games into the season, I was comfortable with the idea if this team wants to retool or tank this season. Like I wasn't going to be mad if we do, especially the more and more we get into the season now, especially when we're getting close to the trade deadline. Yeah, I'm more comfortable now with us retooling, rebuilding because I think it's our turn to do that. I think we need it more than we think we do.
Oh, 100%, and that's what I want. Teams do retools on the flies and they work.
Yep.
So
We
as
did
long
it.
as Conroy is competent at the job that he's been put to do, then we can retool on the fly. We have some pieces that can make us somewhat competitive, and we see this on pretty much a nightly basis.
Yeah.
We're competitive sometimes.
I mean,
Besides playing Chicago and Columbus, apparently, but yeah. So yeah, you think Tanev is going to be the first one gone, hey?
oh yeah, I predicted that a couple episodes ago, and I'm still committed to Tana being the first one because, like, honestly, if anyone's going to be last to be potentially traded, it's probably going to be Hannafin because there's still that conversation on the table that there could be an extension. But I think
Yeah.
we need to look at what you can potentially get with Tanev and Elias Lindholm first. Like, make those two trades first, in my opinion, before you even decide about Markstrom, like Coleman and Hannafin. Because realistically, if you guys really wanted to trade Coleman and Markstrom, you can wait
Hmm.
until next year because
Yeah,
they're going to be on their
definitely.
last years of their deals next year. It's Hannafin, Tanev, and Lindholm that you kind of want to deal with this season. And then if it's worse next year, then you can decide to get even bigger hauls for the next year, right? Like that's what I personally think. But again, I'm really excited to see what Conroy does in the next couple weeks here. So I guess I'm going to ask you, what do you think is going to happen with the next few trades here?
I don't know. I've been trying to think about it. Probably, yeah. Hearing what Derek Will said on the radio today and this conversation. Now I do believe that a player will be traded. I don't know who. Maybe it's a player that's not even like in the talks, right? Maybe it's
Oh,
just like
could
that'd
you
be crazy
imagine?
if that happened. What who? Oh, Mangiapane? That
Ooh,
that could that,
I've
that
never
could be
heard
one.
that. I've never heard
I
Montepani
that could
today.
be one, right? Change the scenery, right? He hasn't really been the Mangiapane we know since 2 seasons ago.
Yeah, that 50-point season.
Um,
Yeah.
that could be a piece, right? I don't know. I don't know who goes first. My mind, for some reason, is saying Lindholm. I
Ooh.
wonder if Lindholm's getting so because there have been scouts at Flames games from a bunch of teams. Colorado's a good example. For a hot minute. So I wonder if a trade like Lindholm would occur. It would occur soon to get it out of the way to prep the team for the playoffs. Whoever is getting
Yeah,
Lindholm, and maybe it's being finalized because maybe they're talking about it right now. Maybe they're finalizing. We don't know.
bro.
So we'll wait from there.
Dude,
So
literally, you know what the sorry, but what I'm just thinking about right now is that if we trade Lysland home first and we go into the All-Star game, we would technically have no Calgary
yeah, pull the
Flames at
bull
the
horn back. I
All-Star
remember
game.
you saying this. Yeah,
There would
that's
be
true.
no
That's
Flames
true.
at the All-Star game this year. So
I would. Yeah, this team. Yeah, we don't really know. Coleman should be
well,
there.
Byram is a pretty good package. It's options. I would love it, please. I'd rather give that money to him than Hannafin.
Yeah, yeah.
Especially if
No,
he's
good.
London.
You know what I mean? I think Hannafin's worth the money. It's just in the scenario, it kind of sucks. I mean, I'm gonna miss Hannafin. I think he plays such a solid game and eats minutes.
Yeah,
You're gonna miss that. So you want to, kind of replace that if you can.
yeah.
But yeah, he wants term, and we probably can't give it to him. So you're gonna probably sell him off too.
And
What do
plus,
you think? Like, do you think there would be a possibility that none of these guys are traded? Until or even what okay, do you I don't think this will happen, but what if none of these players are traded after
I'm
trade deadline?
already if no one is traded after the trade deadline, I think I'm already asking for Conroy's head. Like low key, no, think
Viva
about
la
that
vida.
because you have Elias Lindholm, you know he's not going to re-sign. and you don't trade him for anything, and then we're just going to stay mediocre because the skilled
Wait,
players we can't.
who's on their
Don't
expiring
leave.
contracts again? Is Tynev on the expiring
Yep,
contract?
Tanev,
And
Hannafin,
Hannafin.
Lindholm, and
Yeah,
then I think it's
of
just
course.
Wrangler.
Of course, all three of them. Yeah, and then
Yeah,
I
all
think
three of them. Like honestly, because they're all on expiring deals. If you don't make a single trade, you're literally getting your head asked for.
yeah. Can you imagine just losing them for nothing?
Like, dude,
That would hurt.
that would hurt, man. Like,
Don't make the mistakes. Because Conroy even said this. He's like, I don't want to make the same mistakes that we made before. So don't do it again. Yeah. So I get the trades, but yeah, it feels like a time crunch. But at the same time, like trades don't happen till the time of the trade deadline. So you just kind of have to wait. But yeah, you're right. Something needs to change, and hopefully soon. And to me, this season has been a write off the entire time. So I'm just kind of like whatever, but prep for next season.
yeah. Well, because
But
I just kind of want to also add to that. If we even decide to sign Hannafin for on an extension for 7 years, think of how many Flames right now would be on the team that have 7 to 8, or sorry, 6 by 8 years long contracts. We got Uyghur, we got Kadri,
mhm.
we got Huberdeau. We technically would add Hannafin to that conversation. Like that's already concerning when you're not even in a situation of playoffs, when you almost have 5 players on this team that have contracts longer than 6 years down the line. And they're aging. They're almost over 30.
And
That's
that's the
concerning.
biggest problem. That's probably why you were a little worried about Hannafin too.
Yeah.
Younger than those guys, but still term, and you're gonna have to reap the benefit or reap the risk, right? And that's what we're doing with Kadri and no Lindholm, sorry, Kadri, Huberto, and Uyghur.
Yeah, especially
Uh,
when you think about it, Hannafin is having a career season technically right now. He's got potentially 2, 3 more good seasons of his prime, and then he starts the decline. Do you, as a Flames fan that's looking towards a retool or a rebuild, do you really want Hannafin there on a 7 by 7 potentially? When he's only going to have a good prime for maybe mostly just 3 seasons? No, you don't.
yeah,
You give. I rather if that Lindholm Byram trade happens, I trade Hannafin, give that extension money to Byram because at least if it's 7 years, he'll be 30 years old by the time it's over.
yeah,
So it's
that's a
just a
good point.
thought because if you're looking young in youth, you don't want to make that risk of signing a 27-year-old to a long-term deal. It just doesn't make sense to me, especially
Yeah,
with how
that's fair.
Conroy's saying it. So, all right, T Dog, I know something we can just kind of quickly just run over quick about the Calgary Flames because there are 2 players that sadly didn't clear waivers and they were taken by some teams. We have Adam Ruzicka, who was sadly taken away from us and is now on the Arizona Coyotes. And we have D. Simone, who is now a New Jersey Devil. Honestly, I'm not too mad about it. D. Simone, he's still a top 2 AHL player in my opinion. He wasn't spectacular with the Flames, but he played his part, and now he's moving on to New Jersey. Same with Ruzicka. He had a lot of potential and hope, I would say, as a Flames fan, but being on that third, fourth line, he couldn't really do that much. And
Improve much for sure.
even when he did get those minutes to play like second line, he didn't really see a whole lot out of him. So honestly, it's sad to see them leave, but I could think of worse people I could get rid of on this team.
No, it's true. You know, the one thing about losing them, it sucks, right? 'Cause, you know, you're trying to get people for value if you do lose them.
Yeah.
But you lose Greer to the injury, out for 8 weeks with the foot fracture,
Mhm.
and you know Dubé for those police reasons,
Mental health reasons.
and the team you start to test the depth now, and it'd be kind of nice to have a D Simone still, right? And Ruzicka could play minutes. I'm not gonna lie, man, he seemed kind of a lazy player recently, so. Maybe a new team or new scenery will kind of get him to up his game there. But yeah, so that's what sucks is you know you lose depth in that sense, right? Youthful depth.
If you saw in the last 2 games, a defenseman finally came back up to play with the Calgary Flames. Oliver Shillington is back as a
Yeah.
defensive player for the Calgary Flames, which I love. You can kind of see in the last two games he's a little bit rusty for say, but he looks like he's getting back up there, and I love to see it from him. Jacob Pelche is a player that could potentially come back into the lineup. I believe either this, probably after the All-Star break, actually. So yeah, I would love to see Pelche
Yeah,
come to
Devils,
Boston
Islanders,
or New
Rangers.
Jersey, even the Islanders. Looking at the schedule, even we have coming up, looks pretty tough. But still, having a guy like Pelche on that team with Coronado and Zari up in the lineup now, it's a really good sign because Conroy's speaking to his word that he wants youth in the lineup. So adding guys like Pelche there and Coronado, I would love to see it, especially after the All-Star break and we getting off these trades potentially. So yeah, I'm a little bit excited. I'm trying to think positive vibes, but I still kind of want us to lose a little bit, just a little bit.
Yeah.
Just a
But
little bit.
but definitely with Shillington, it's great to see him back. Fans were cheering. Just good for him to kind of get out of his predicament there. And it's good to see him back. He's skating well. He's
Yeah,
such a natural skater. It's good. It'll take some games, right? And eventually he'll get back into it. But yeah, it is great to see him back and be on that lineup. Helps keep the depth there. So that's awesome.
yeah, it was really
Um,
good.
yeah, and then all right, Peltier back. So there's positives with that too. But yeah, I mean, there's been a lot with the Flames recently when it comes to just kind of moves and everything, and that will affect I think the team play too because you move a lot of players, then it's not the team that you were playing with before, so there might be some sort of chemistry changes and things like that, right? So that could also be a factor.
Yeah, I'm excited. I think realistically, especially with Shillington coming back, I think it's really nice because I've noticed in the last few games that our third line pairings were guys from the AHL, and it's not that they haven't played to that NHL level yet, just they looked like they were struggling in some points and gave away the puck and gave some really bad turnovers.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I think you could see that especially in the Leafs and the Oilers game for sure. But adding a piece like Shillington back is really just going to boost the defense, in my opinion,
Yep.
especially when you make those trades with Tanev and potentially Hannafin too. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited to see him back. Same with Peltier, dude. Like I was mentioning this to you in before we even started talking about this, that the fourth line is concerning me a little bit, especially with AJ Greer's injury. We just heard Pospisil is finally off IR, so we send
Yeah.
Schmidt, Coronado, and crap, what was the last one?
Doer.
What? Yeah, Doer. So we sent them back down, and now Pospisil is back in the lineup. So I mean, we'll see how it goes going into the All-Star break, but I mean, with Peltier back, I'll be happy. If you guys did enjoy this episode, please leave a like, leave a comment, and subscribe. We love the support you guys give us on all our channels. Keep commenting what you think. Give your opinions. It never hurts. Yeah, D-Dog always loves asking his question of the day. I'm excited to see what he thinks it is today. And I hope you guys enjoy a good All-Star break because I know I'm not going to watch it. I got better things to do with those ugly ass jerseys there. But hey, T Dog, wrap this up.
Buddy, Tate McRae's performing. We gotta watch, man. You gotta listen to some good pop.
I'm good.
Wow. That was what a reaction. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for listening, watching, however you are consuming this content. If you did like it, smash that like button, comment down below. Comment question of the day. Who's the first Flame that's going to get traded and how soon? Is it going to be by the All-Star break or the deadline? Or are we going to let them go for nothing because, hey, that's how we do it in Cowtown, baby. That's how we do it in Cowtown.
Please
Anyways,
don't do that.
guys, enjoy the rest of the week there. Keep on grinding, working hard, getting those workouts in. You gotta just keep going. But before you know it, it's gonna be playoffs, and then something else, and then yeah.
In off
That's
season,
my inspirational words for today. Anyways, guys, talk to you later. We'll see you in the next one. And remember, drink your water, stay hydrated. Bye bye.
8 cups a day, baby. Peace.